Good morning. How are we all doing? Recovered from last night? Feeling fresh, ready to hear more? I'm going to be rolling the Red Bull car just down the front, so if anyone wants any more drinks, I'm sure I'll be able to help. So, my name's Daniel. I'm on the Pro Services team in EMEA. So, we're delivering our professional services into Europe and all the way across, potentially as far as India if we need to. And one of the things that we're seeing is as the product is growing in popularity in Europe is large-scale deployments. People like SAP growing and facing the challenges of how do we bring Mac management into maybe an already Windows shop and answer all those questions and settle all those concerns about how things are going to go. And that's exactly what Olivier from SAP, Olivier's based in Paris, is going to talk to you about. They're managing somewhere in the region of just under 8,000 Macs with, I gather, plans to grow. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. So I'm going to welcome Olivier.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you. So, good morning. I'm Olivier. Thanks for attending this session from proof of concept to productive platform. So this session is kind of case study to show you how we started and how we operate the system at the service at daily usage. So I'm sorry that I didn't have time to move our content to the official Jamf template. So yeah, it will be our template. So the agenda for today: a few words about us and our company, some statistics, numbers, and so on. The history of Macs at SAP and how we managed to integrate Macs into our Microsoft infrastructure. So I'm Olivier. Initially, I had to present this session with my colleague Oliver Hyde, but he could not attend, unfortunately, for personal reasons. So we are working both together. I'm based in Paris. He's based in Germany, in our headquarters. I'm working on the Mac project since 2010. I worked previously in the SAP Labs IT and user support in Nice. And SAP introduced the Mac platform a few years ago, so in 2010. And my knowledge about OSX at that time was how to eject the CD-ROM by dragging the, you know what I mean, the icon to the trash. So I'm in the operation team. Basically, we are in the so-called client infrastructure cluster. There is one design team which do all the evaluation of new products, proof of concept, and so on. The operation teams, where I am, and the field services, so that's basically the colleagues doing the end user support for our employees. So our design team handed over the whole project to us, to our operations team. A few words about our company. We are one of the largest software company in the world. We have our main product is our ERP software. We also now move more on the cloud services, and we have a lot of products. So we have also in-memory database product called SAP HANA. So I don't want to bother you more on the corporate stuff. So before we jump into really on the presentation, just quick question to the audience: how many admins do we have here who do Windows and Mac administration in their companies? Yeah, so about 30%. Yeah, okay. So we have about 75,000 Windows PCs. And now, I think last month we achieved to manage 7,700 Macs, so we exceeded the 10% mark last month. We have, in the vast majority, MacBook Pros, but of course, some we also use MacBook Airs and some iMacs. We have about 1,100 Fusion licenses, so unfortunately, it keeps increasing over the time. We try to keep the amount of Fusion licenses as less as possible. But yeah, there are cases where you cannot go against this. So a quick chart just to show you the progression over the time from 2012. So yeah, it's keep going on. I don't know where it will end. This little glitch, oops, sorry. This little glitch is during December 2012. It's not because we suddenly, how can I say? This was only because we did a huge database cleaning in the GNSS server. Most of our Mac, we have a lot of Macs, about 20% in our German headquarters. So you can see it here in the yellow. We also have a lot of Macs in our two main US locations, Palo Alto and Philadelphia. About 10% in Bangalore, India, and yeah, and the rest. On the right side, I'm sorry. Oops. As you can see, we have a lot of 10.9 computers, not so much 10.8, but I will come back to this later and explain why we have such a huge amount of 10.9 today. So Oliver's former manager was a big Apple fan. He asked him to do a kind of feasibility study in 2008. At that time, remember we were running, I think, OSX 10.5, maybe 10.6. So because we didn't have a lot of OSX knowledge, the only restriction was try to copy the Windows word as much as possible. But after some months, we came to the conclusion it was not so easy to use Macs at SAP. Also, we simply gave up more or less. But in fact, the Mac market grew up. We had to develop a lot of enterprise iOS application. So just to give you some example of iOS application that we develop, apps, for example, to post your travel expenses. You simply take a picture with your iPhone of your receipt. It's automatically uploaded in our ERP software. So you don't need to scan your receipt anymore. So that's old style stuff. To book your vacation, your days off, or for the manager to approve the employees' shopping carts and stuff like this. But in fact, the most popular one is the one to get the lunch menu in our Genmarn headquarters. So yeah, that's yeah. Okay, so in fact, initially, Mac were more designed to be used by our developers. So our developers, in fact, didn't need much to perform their job. They didn't, in fact, need to have Microsoft Office or Internet Explorer-based stuff or SSO user certificate, all that kind of stuff. They just wanted maybe Xcode and stuff like this. But they wanted to have these cool and expensive devices on their desks and to show to the others. And so the demand grew over the time. Unfortunately, without Oliver, because he finally he joined another team in the meantime. So our design team started to evaluate some products, or a few Mac management products that were on the market, and they finally, I think, decided to go with something called Ghost or Casper's. I don't remember. Maybe we should add this guy because this guy always have an explanation for everything. So yeah, we choose Casper Suite because yeah, it was the best product at that time. The Mac guys within our companies, they lived in kind of big Windows jungle. A lot of fanboys and so on. So in fact, we use this thing to build the service, and they help us with a lot of tricks and so on. So the advantage of this is that you spend less effort to get the right decision. So at that time, as of today, any employee in our company can order either a Windows PC or a Mac. He decides himself what he wants to use. Of course, the main goal was to avoid using these Mac computers like Citrix viewers or Citrix terminal session, because that was not the main point of the project. So our good things, our intranet SAP corporate portal is now working very good with Firefox. Our main Java-based SAP GUI client is now working perfectly with the other SAP application used for authentication. Microsoft Office works very well. Link also, we use it for the telephony and stuff like this. So everything is finally working very good in our company. So that's not the end of presentation. In fact, now I will show you how we really work with the Casper product and the Microsoft environment and the Macs. So we started, as I said, in 2010 on a Mac Mini. The design team installed the software. They read 1,000 times the admin PDF guides, all the Jamf tech notes, and so on. But hardware and software is not enough to build a new service. So first thing we did, the legal part. We had to find a volunteer who wanted to review all the dozen of pages of Apple OILA's terms and conditions for GSX, Apple Alliance contract, and so on. Keep in mind that we are a multinational company, so we are present in a lot of countries. A lot of countries means a lot of different laws, local laws, import restriction, all that kind of stuff. So that's for the visible part. For the invisible part, things like warranty. Is it the responsibility of an employee to go to the Apple Store when his device is broken? But what happens when there is no Apple Store nearby? Does he have to travel to this Apple Store? Or what happens if he has an accident and he was not allowed to travel to the Apple Store? So kind of difficult question. So the best hint I can give you before starting a Mac project in a big company is to become friends with your legal team. That's very important. Find your Saul Goodman in your company. He will help you a lot. What about support? We have over 250 so-called Mac champions in more than 130 countries. These are not only SAP internal employees. We also outsource some of the service to other companies. The problem we have was to keep the learning curve for Mac platform at minimum. For two simple reasons. In some location, you maybe image 10 Macs a day, and in other smallest location, maybe you image 1 Mac a month. So obviously, the guy who is doing this job simply forgot what he did last month. So keeping the learning curve at minimum is very important for us. Of course, because of this, you have huge differences in the MAC knowledge across these big and small locations. One thing that we learned, we should not rely on everyone's common sense, because in fact, everyone has a different common sense, so that's not very good. So we write everything explicitly in our documents, and yeah, that's how it is. And finally, operation. So we use an internal wiki as knowledge base where we document almost everything. We don't use so much network shares or PDF. This is very good because it's very easy to track who did what change and so on over the time. You see the progression, so change tracking and so on. We also have so-called SAP Jam. It's kind of internal social network. It's complementary to our own internal ticketing system. The main advantage of this is, let's take an example. You have a huge incident in your company. So you will get dozens or hundreds of tickets accumulating in the queue, but the time needed for IT guys to notice that there is a big incident based on the number of tickets, it can span over hours or over a few days. So the main advantage of this social network is that when someone posts something, we always keep an eye on this. We can quickly check if something is wrong and contact directly the respective service owners and have the incident fixed much faster than using the standard way. One thing also that we learned on high complexity of the Mac platform to your Windows team. You don't want to speak Mac language to your Windows colleagues because they don't care a lot or they are busy doing their own Windows stuff. So make it transparent and build your service in the scalable way. One last thing I highly recommend to you is to enroll in the Mac Developer Program because it only costs $99, and even Steve agrees with me. This Steve, yeah, not that Steve. Yeah. No, seriously, in fact, if you can afford get an enterprise alliance support, this is a very valuable investment. These guys are very, very professional. We learned a lot from these guys. Basically, every commands or debug stuff that they gave us, we put it in our wiki and we use it internally to troubleshoot ourselves the end user's problem without opening hundreds of tickets at Apple Tech Support. One last thing. As I said, this commands what we learn over the time. This is really gold for us. This is maybe one of the reasons why some companies are reluctant to integrate Macs into a Windows environment, because of this lack of, how can I say, documentation that is not available on Apple websites. So there is nothing like the Microsoft MSDN or TechNet blogs or Channel 9 or this is. I would like to see this coming from Apple, if that's possible. So our golden rules, we try to keep things very simple. We don't over-customize anything. We have one base image that is available for all employees. We don't have any role-based image. Not that it's not useful in some cases. As I said, it depends on your enterprise culture. But with more than 7 and now almost 8,000 Macs, it's hard to find someone who can speak on behalf of all these employees. We used netboot in the past. Finally, we gave up. Not that it's not working, but managing it over a huge network is kind of crazy. So too many maintenance workload. Your network teams are not Mac freaks, so sometimes they understand what we want to do with the IP helper addresses. Just one comment: the IP helper address is when you want to netboot when your PC is located in another layer 3 network as the network where your server is located. We don't have any internal software update servers. Yeah, because in fact, there is no real added value. Apple, I don't remember the last time Apple offered an update that killed some Macs. So no, so the updates from Apple are really reliable. So it makes no sense to have an internal software update infrastructure. We try to stick to Apple release cycles. So every year, Apple releases a new OS. Oh, there's a typo here. So we try to make pressure on our software manufacturers. I mean, the software that we use in our own image, to push them to have their software available for in this year for Yosemite, for example, and it's hard. I don't say it's easy, and yeah, it depends entirely of the willingness of the manufacturers. But yeah, that's what we try to do. We also try to drop support for previous OSX releases for one simple reason. Apple does not have explicit lifecycle support policy when it comes to the updates. They often use the term updates released at Apple's own discretion. So we had no other choice than to always be on the latest major OSX version. A few words about our infrastructure. We run the whole infrastructure on 2 Mac Pros in our German data centers. One is always active, the other is standby. They run OSX, of course, MySQL Community Edition, because it's recommended by Jamf, so we simply stick to their recommendation, which is great. That works very well, but we have no public-facing servers for security reasons and stuff like this. As of the distribution points, we have 65 Mac Minis all over the world. So a few words about file synchronization between the active and standby servers. It's simply a custom rsync script that is based on the DNS alias. So there is one DNS alias for the JSS servers. If the master servers, if the script detects that it is currently the master server, it doesn't do anything. If it is the backup server, it simply copy all the database backups from the master server, the server configuration, so server XML and all that kind of stuff. The Java key stores, we use this because our Active Directory is now only available over LDAP-S, so you have to upload your root CA certificate into the Java key store. Reason why we use Jamf, it's only a joke. We don't really love Java. We like to travel to conferences, that's true, but no, we cannot have 100% Mac computers into use. That's not possible. The real reason. First reason is simply because Apple does not offer any management products. We do not consider that a server app or profile manager is really an enterprise class product. So that's why we Jamf software is helping us a lot. It's also the most flexible product on the market. So this is why we chose it. It's very stable. We had no major problems with the JSS software itself since the beginning, in fact. And all the main features are really well documented on the Jamf website, which is really good. What about the ordering process? When an employee chooses between a Mac an employee can choose himself if he wants to use a Mac or Windows PC. So basically, the employee raises a shopping cart in our internal SRM system. The employee's manager has to accept or decline the request. Yeah. We as IT are not involved into any approval process. We don't want to do that. The manager is the perfect person who can decide what is good or what is bad for his employees. The purchase order is sent to the vendor and device shipped to our offices. We deal with more than 20 vendors for the Mac devices, so things like DEP or VPP and stuff like this, it's kind of difficult to implement. First, because it's not yet available in all countries, and we also, most of the time, we order the Mac devices from resellers, not directly from Apple. So we don't, we know we have the serial number in our ERP system, but to get them and put them into the JSS server, it will be not super reliable. So then the Mac is imaged either by our external imaging companies or imaged by the on-site IT colleagues. Then the Mac is given to the end user, or when the user is remote, it's simply shipped to his home and so on. So why why the vendor does not send the Mac directly to the end user? For two simple reasons. Because they must be imaged. We want to put Office on it, install all of our softwares, of course the Jamf client and so on. And we wanted to avoid as much any logistical issues like, what happened when the keyboard layout is wrong? Who has to pay the shipment back to the vendor? And so it was kind of complicated. So we prefer to manage this internally at IT. And when the device is ready with the right configuration, it's shipped to the employee. So what do we have on our base image? We have Microsoft Office, of course. We have Link, McAfee as anti-malware product. We have also a VPN client from F5 Networks, the Jamf client, of course, and we also implement a hard disk encryption solution. We used semantic PGP whole disk encryption up to 10.8 and started to use FileVault finally since Mavericks. Simply because, FileVault is obviously more integrated into the operating system as Symantec. Just to show you that not everything is we are not in a perfect world, kind of failure timeline. So we used at the beginning compiled configuration. So it was good because it was using the block copy, so you could image a Mac within maybe 5 minutes. It was very fast. But we understood a few months later the drawbacks of using this method, because it's not so flexible when you want to perform things like thin imaging and so on. It happened also that the network interfaces name were swapped because of this disk cloning imaging method. So you had the, how can I say, the SSID. You can choose a wireless SSID for your Ethernet wired interface, and for your wireless interface, you could not do a connect to any wireless network. So it was just swapped. A nightmare to explain this to the end users and to repair it. We also had a big incident in 2011. Suddenly the database grew over the time, and we did not have any reliable monitoring for the JSS server. So we started, in fact, with a server with 3 gigs of RAM. The database was 15 gigs long. It took 24 hours to flush all the logs. The situation was very hot at that time. Yeah, and a few other things. We used Casper imaging at the beginning. Unfortunately, some IT colleagues simply forgot to put the computer name in the field, leaving it blank. When it's blank and when OSX restarted, it simply changed the blank to localhost, and then all computers were bound to our Active Directory with the localhost name. So it trashed all the other previously bound computers. So that's why, more or less, we moved to a completely different way of imaging, so our Thin Imaging, and we finally did not use Casper imaging anymore. So our needs for Thin Imaging. So I don't want to bother you again. There was enough session on why Thin Imaging is really cool to image Mac computers. But basically, we wanted to have the new OSX release available at day 1 in our company. That was very important because we also have to, SAP has to support our customers, and they also update to, for example, Yosemite. They also updated to Yosemite last week, so we had to be ready at day 1. We wanted to have a solution that works across different OSX releases without waiting for external software manufacturer, like, for example, Jamf or other companies, to announce their availability for the new OSX releases. We also wanted to have a solution that is so that we avoid the need for to perform internet recovery. In our German headquarters, okay, they have 10 gigs of internet connectivity, so most likely the internet recovery would be very fast in this location. But in the smallest one, you may have only 4 megabytes, and if you suddenly want to restore from scratch a Mac, it can take the whole day. So, and it will, of course, fully congest your one connectivity. So, yeah. And we also wanted to have a solution that works with custom OSX builds. So basically, when Apple releases new hardwares, most of the time they are shipped with custom OSX builds. So if you use the official .app, so install OSX Mavericks or that you download from the App Store, it's not going to work on the brand new machine. You need to work on the next release, the next combo updates. So we wanted to have a solution that covered these cases. We also use a NAC solution. So we need to have this integrated with our Thin Imaging process. I'm not a developer. We are not developer in our teams. I'm not a scripting guy. I learned Bash over the time, so I didn't want to have anything related to Python, Ruby, this kind of languages, because I didn't want it to look like this guy. So Bash is enough for us. It works perfectly. And we also have a lot of smart guys who try to bypass the processes to install vanilla Apple OS X images. So we built our solution in such a way that it makes it very difficult for them to avoid that our McAfee or the other stuff is being installed. We also acquired some companies over the time, so we also had to have a solution that is flexible enough for the M&A cases. As I said earlier, the Mac knowledge is not so consistent across location, so we need to have a solution that is, in fact, very easy to use for anyone, even without any real Mac knowledge, and that integrates easily with the Jamf needs. So basically, when you create a computer object in GSS, the two things you need is the computer name and the MAC address, which is even more important. So just to show you how we image our Windows computers, we have a web-based deployment portal where we put the user ID of the future local admin of this machine. Yeah, in our company, any employee has local admin rights on his machine. We don't want to waste time with approval and stuff like this. Everyone can do whatever he wants. It makes no sense because there are a lot of smart users who know how to bypass this kind of restrictions. So the war, we don't want to start such a war. The computer name is based on the location on an equipment number, which is basically the kind of numerical asset tag that is on stick on a sticker on every machine. You put the MAC address in the MAC address field and the operating system version you want to deploy. You save or apply the changes. It's automatically uploaded as a new task sequence into our Microsoft SCCM infrastructure. And what happened next is you have your PC. The IT employee plugged a USB stick. Boot on that stick. It's kind of a WinPE-like USB stick. Just click OK or answer a few questions. Then installation is fully unattended. He can grab coffee, come back later, and then the user has simply to log on the logon screen as everything is then configured. For the Mac part, we wanted to do more or less the same. As I said earlier, using Casper imaging was not so reliable. I mean, not that the software is not good. Yeah, it's very, very good, but people can make typos. People can forget to fill out some fields. Yeah, you know how it is. So using this, these are you have consistency checks in this web interface. So what you can see on the slide is how the fields in the web interface map with JSS entries. So the MAC address is in the MAC address field. Computer name is built based on the location, as I said, based on the equipment number. And the local admin, for historical reasons, we used the Jamf configuration with some script, bash script, and when you enter the user ID of the local admin, it adds this string as an argument to this specific set local admin.sh to the fourth parameter. So here's more or less. So sorry, it's a little bit blurry. I will not go into all the details, but we, because of the API limitation, we are heavy user of the auto-run feature. So we had to a little bit reverse engineer the HTML code that you get when you access the web interface, and so get kind of a session token ID, get the URL, parse some code. Like in fact, we simulate like human clicks with curl libraries to fill out all the necessary fields. So it's a mix of using APIs with the XML file to add a new computer object in the JSS database, and also parsing HTML code to do the rest. So then, what happened for when you want to image a Mac computer? So we decided to use the same logic. You have your new Mac, you plug a USB stick, image with a special image. I will come back to this later. You plug the USB stick, you answer some question, like do you want to erase the drive, or do you want to simply update the operating system? We had to add support for, basic support for PGP partition, because we used PGP previously, prior to 10.9. So the sticks at the end of the wizard copy the OSX set of files on the hard disk, change some NVRAM boot variable, and simply restart the machine, so that simply you land on the gray box where the Apple OSX is installed. So it's as if you would install your operating system at home. It's exactly the same screen, same behavior. When it's finished, so of course, yeah, sorry, I forgot to say that during this phase, we also install our special SAP deployment package. Then computer is restarted, and in fact, a launch daemon is being run with a long shell script that sets a lot of things. That, for example, the NTP settings. It also extracts, of course, the computer name from the JSS database. It performs quick add. We run, in fact, quick add package during this phase. We bind to Active Directory, download the M6 settings, install Office and McAfee, all the stuff, Firefox and so on, our own SAP softwares. We set the local admin, and then we clean everything. We remove our scripts and launch daemon. Computer is restarted, and you get the logon screen, and the computer is ready to be handed over to the end users. Yeah, there are some features that are missing on the chart, but like basic support for bootcamp partition. So not that we allow bootcamp in our company, but we wanted to be on the safe side, just in case someone did a bootcamp partition, and so that when our wizard run and the OSX partition is formatted, so if bootcamp partition is detected, this bootcamp partition is not deleted. So what is on this stick? When you build external USB media using the create install media native Apple binary, it basically, so you can see in the green box, that's the USB stick. Inside this stick, when you access the stick with Finder, you see the install OSX Mavericks or Yosemite.app. Inside this app, you have the well-known install esd.dmg. Inside this DMG, you have these two red boxes, the base system.dmg, and all the packages, the Apple packages. So there is also one folder, so it's a playlist file that describes when you boot on the stick, where is the install esd.dmg file located, and what is the where is the base system.dmg located? So base system.dmg is like your recovery partition, is basically the same. So we simply modified a little bit to make OSX setup believes it runs its own setup assistant. We, in fact, changed the /etc/rc install and stuff like this to run our own bash script instead of the Apple wizard. We put our custom package inside this. So in fact, it's like a net install like setup. And we build our own base system SAP.dmg and put it inside the main DMG Apple file. And we had to adjust the playlist file so that it boots on this on our customized base DMG. So what's inside our own package? What does the wizard look like? So we simply use Cocoa Dialog, which is a well-known application to display windows with buttons and so on. You can fully customize. So as you can see, there is the Quicket package inside this main package. Our main script that performed the whole installation, the launch daemon that will run the shell script, and the preference file that contains the URL of the JSS server. It also includes a post-install script to remove the Apple setup DOM. I forgot to say, the LCA.app is the former Apple binary that displays the gray screen, pretty much like what you know from Casper imaging when it displays the black screen with the blue box. Please wait until blah blah something. Yeah. Okay, so drawbacks, of course, of this method. You have to reverse engineer a lot what is done by the Apple setup. So I highly recommend you to read how insta-damage works. This is how we did it. For some of the stuff which was not very clear, we had to boot on the recovery partition between two steps to know what changed, because there are certain things that are very that are only available for few let's say moments. Another thing, a hint that you can use is simply enable the SSH service. You log on remotely on that machine, because most of the time when you run the OSX setup on your own machine, it logs you off. So you cannot run terminal at the same time. So simply use SSH service. That's a good trick. Use sudo new proc.d or sudo OpenSnoop. OpenSnoop is like FS usage or the GUI FS eventers. So this is very useful. The new proc.d is super useful. It shows you exactly what commands are running in the background on your system with all the arguments. So you can, we use this also. You can run this command when, for example, when you do a Jamf recon, you will see what the Jamf client will, or how the Jamf client will extract all the information. You also need to use extensively curl to simulate, like I said, the human click in the JSS web interface to overcome the API limitation. What about server monitoring? We are heavy users of Microsoft SCOM products. I don't remember if there is a SCOM Mac client. Maybe they released something. But anyway, we want to do it the simple way and use SNMP. Unfortunately, we didn't want it only to monitor like the disk usage or CPU usage. So we built some shell script and like integrate it into the SNMP tree. And what we do now is, as I said, monitoring the CPU usage, but you can also do stuff like monitoring the RAM ECC status or the inactive RAM amount. So here is a basic example of how you can extract any kind of information from anywhere in the system. Maybe, or if I could. In fact, the SNMP community name is are the missing number that are missing there. So your script has simply to echo the strings on the standard output, and so that SCOM simply polls these OIDs and compare if it says OK or not, or whatever you want to do. You can do, of course, more advanced stuff, like monitoring the size of the Jamf database folder, so more application-oriented stuff, or things like read array status, is there a spare disk still available, or so on, or simply monitor the uptime. We also use Active Directory certificate profile. So we simply build a profile with Profile Manager. Simply need to put your certificate template. So it's like a huge amount of numbers. So simply ask your PKI colleagues to give you some help on this. I was surprised that it worked at my second attempt. So it's very easy to implement, in fact. So this user certificate are used, in fact, in our company for almost everything. You don't need to use any password to log on to any website or stuff like that. Everything is done using a certificate. How it works, so you only basically have one .mobile config that is copied onto the disk when the user clicks on the search service item, one script that is flexible enough to take care about all the scenarios. So if the user wants to refresh his certificate, or if the user tried to delete the profile, so we reinstall, we check daily and reinstall the missing profile, or when the computer is being imaged, we force installation of the profiles. As I said earlier again, we have no public facing servers, so no APNS. We simply use a profiles binary to install the profile. Yeah. Of course, you need to have user interaction so that he enters his username and password. And because we do that with profiles binary, we simply use the hint with OSA script so that it prompts through the credentials through the GUI. This is the sample of the scripts. I don't have much time left, so I will skip. If you are interested, you can always have a look at the presentation after the session. Very quick about FileVault. We have a lot of paranoid users, especially in Germany. So it was really a big requirement to have something very rock solid. So we didn't want it to have institutional keys, so that if the key is copied somewhere, you can misuse it to access all the computers and so on. We also wanted to simply copy the same process that we used for the Windows platform, so our internal processes. Yeah, I know, I will skip some of the... So we have a special local admin account with a randomly generated password that expires after a predefined period. that is enforced on all of our machines. So these are based on a combination of unique values. So the password is unique for every computer at a specific time. And any password, FileVault password request is logged either into our internal ticketing system or when you want to get the temporary special local admin account, it's also logged in a database. Few words about off-site deployment scenarios. Some users are not really present in SAP offices or on a longer period of time. So we have a chicken and egg problem because all of our users connect with their domain credential, not with local accounts. So to connect to the Mac, to open a session to the Mac, you need domain connectivity. But for domain connectivity to happen, you must be on the network. So the solution is we simply reuse the same local admin password we use for FileVault. The end user open a session, a temporary session, connect with VPN with his credential, and run, with a wizard in fact, run the create mobile account binary to cache the account. He logs off, and then he can log on to his domain cached session. We have a lot of networks segment at SAP, more than 1,000. It was a nightmare to automate and monitor the changes done by the Active Directory and the network team. So we automated the extraction of the Active Directory site and services subnet with a shell script. It extracts everything based on a kind of mapping of AD sites to distribution points. And it built a CSV file that is then used for JSS subnet importer, which is a Java-based application available on the Jamf website, if I'm not wrong. And then the JSS subnet importer takes care of uploading all that stuff to the Jamf server. Again, some code just to give you an example how it is done. As I said, I'm not a big scripting guy, so you might see some useless use of cats. So yeah, sorry for this, but yeah, the most important that it works. Yeah, again, some code. SAP Printing is, I think it's almost the last slide. To install our printers in our organization, we had a lot of printers, so it's not very convenient to find the name, and there are hundreds of printers. So we have, again, a web interface where you click on the region, your location, your city, the level of the building where you are located. You click on Connect to Printer. It's exactly the same for Windows and Mac. On Windows, it's simply like connect to the Windows file server, and on the Mac, in fact, you download a PKG file that is built on the fly on our main server. So what happens when you click on the button? It simply connect to our JSS backend and build a post-install script based on a template, based on the information you can see about the location, the server, the Windows server name, and so on. And you get this package file. A user has simply to install it, and it's automatically installed on his Mac. Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. So the package is also digitally signed with Apple, with our certificates, and returned to browser. Yeah, okay, so that's what so again, sample of the code, just to show how it works. Oops, skip this one. So next, what are the next steps? Let's give you one example. Automate the software delivery with self-service. When a user raises a shopping cart into our in our SRM system, a purchase order is created, sent to the vendor. the good recipient's user ID is automatically added to a specific AD group for every. We have one AD group for every software we deploy at SAP. So we try to use this AD group memberships to display how can I say? If you're a member of a specific AD group and you order the license, the license will automatically show up in your service. Great. So for conclusion, I highly recommend you to keep your rules as simple and clean as possible. When it's possible, do not try to do weird things. Don't show this presentation to the CIO because he will be afraid of this. Okay, so that's all. Yeah, thank you.